let's quickly go to Imo State, where we have our correspondent, Abimbola Agbebiyi, to talk to us about the aerial view or surveillance of security personnel to ensure that perhaps there was safety, and also to see the performance of the police force with regards to entrenching our democratic principles during this exercise. You were part of that trip on the air. Talk to us what your experience was like being in the helicopter monitoring the security situation.
An interesting experience, Veronica, I must tell you. It was such a beautiful view of different parts of Imo State. Of course, we had, on the aircraft, the Deputy Inspector General of Police, Frank Mba, who took an on-the-spot assessment area surveillance of different parts of Imo State, which, of course, he told us is part of efforts made by the security agencies to ensure safety of the electorate and, of course, electoral materials. He also went on to say that they are going to stick to their promises to bring to book or punish anyone want to foment trouble at the various polling units. Earlier, of course, he led a team of security personnel to different polling units across the state just to see or to ensure that voters are not being intimidated. Apart from the fact that there's been a low voter turnout in some parts of the state, he is again reassuring the electorate, for those who are still scared or of coming out of their houses, to exercise their franchise, is saying that the environment is safe and they are free to come out and exercise their franchise. It was such a beautiful view, moving around, different parts of the state, seeing, such a view of the different polling units across the state, Veronica.
Now, there are areas that have been termed flashpoints in the states. Leading up to the elections, there were also concerns about these areas that are notorious for electoral violence. I'm wondering if these were the areas, specific areas that you took a tour of with the police force, or we went round the state.
Okay. Security officials, of course, have been positioned, striking police force have been positioned in strategic places, talking about local government areas outside the state. I'm talking about border areas that, of course, they have been referred to as flashpoints. Those are areas where electoral violence was recorded during the last election. And, of course, security agencies in the state have taken their time to study these areas. And from my chat with the Deputy Inspector General of Police, he went on to say that security officials have been positioned in these places to ensure that, of course, there is no breakdown of law and order in those places. So from what he has said so far, the process has been smooth. We've not had cases of persons engaging in electoral violence and all of that. And then we still wait to see what will happen, even as the process continues. But so far, the process, according to him, has been adjudged as transparent and smooth for places that we have visited. We do hope that those border areas, I'm talking about places like Olu, Osu, and all of that, are also well policed, as he has said. Veronica.
Indeed, we hope that the peace that has been recorded thus far will be sustained till the end of the exercise. But let's talk about the engagement of the police with the electorate. What did you see? How were also the electorate cooperating with the police force?
All right, earlier today when we set out, of course, we saw people coming out of their houses, moving to, the various polling units. Some of them, of course, who were not accredited, who have no business being out, were sent back, while those who are eligible, voters were allowed to go to the various polling units. You recall that the security agencies, the Deputy Inspector General of Police had said that over 25,000, police personnel have been, deployed to the 27 local government areas in the state. Of course, 33 unit police force are on the ground. According to him, it's a huge security presence, but of course, he has said that that is not done to intimidate the electorate, but of course to assure them of their safety. So far, the electorate have been going about, to different polling units to exercise their franchise. But for the voter apathy that we have recorded so far, we do hope that more people will have the courage to come out, because even with the on-the-spot assessment that the DIG just had, he tried to assure voters that they can't come out and exercise their franchise. They have nothing to worry about. We do hope that they still come out to exercise their franchise before the exercise, is over. Veronica.
Indeed, that was the conversation we were having in the studio when we saw the aerial view of the surveillance move by the police, that perhaps this will repose some confidence in the minds of the people towards the police force, believing that they are safe and secured by the police, the presence of the police. But then, Bimbo, being at the top there, it looked like you were scared, so to speak, when we saw the pictures of you with the DIG and the other persons in the helicopter. Were you afraid?
There, and of course, you should know that there will be a strong breeze blowing into the aircraft. I was a bit scared, but of course, as we moved on, I was able to, like I told.
All right, it's still the visuals of the aerial view, the aerial surveillance of the police force in Imo State. That's Bimbo there, who was just speaking with me, her eyes looking pretty scared. But of course, they landed safely after taking a tour across the state to ensure that there was some level of peace and tranquility in the state, and ensure that the people, the electorate, are safe as they turn out to cast their ballot. Well, interesting conversation there with a correspondent, and it was good, like she also mentioned. All right, quickly, Bimbo, you were telling me that being up there, you were pretty scared, especially with the air that blew. So go ahead and talk to me.
Slightly scared, Veronica, slightly scared.
Right,
I was a bit scared, actually, but of course I was able to gain my confidence back, and of course I enjoyed. It was such a nice experience, so I can't say I'm scared. I was scared initially, but of course I was able to gain my confidence back, Veronica. Also, one interesting thing that I would like to add was we had the Deputy Inspector General of Police at a meeting with the CSOs and of course some election observers yesterday, where he ordered police officers attached to very important personalities, political and public officers, to stay off, because we've had cases in past elections where we have the security personnel attached to these VIPs go to escort their bosses to the polling units, thereby disrupting the electoral process. Of course, it said yesterday that such should not happen, and any security personnel found doing that will be dealt with decisively. He had also gone ahead to assure us that they are out to silence the guns of criminals and not out to intimidate, of course, the innocent electorate, Veronica. So we see how things pan out as the process continues, Veronica.
All right, it seems you are ready to go back into the craft again with the helmet on your head, but ensure that just stay safe, have a good one, and then we'll definitely get back to you for more updates as events unfold in Imo State. So much efforts being put in by the police with what we are getting there from our correspondent. But before we went to her, you were talking about the attitude of the political elite.
Right. I think that speaks to the challenge of party politics. Right. Because you see that a fallout of party politics results to ethnic line of what is happening. So that simply means that we need our politicians, the political party need to do more to have democratic way of electing their representation, who will represent them, their flag bearer and whatever. Because a fallout of it could also bring such ethnic line division and whatever. And for Kogi, I think we need to do more to tame such. If not, it will keep reducing people's confidence on our electoral system. And like you rightly said, the place is well policed that people are even scared at a level because we cannot say that it's not people are not around to have voted if we have 100 people coming out compared to the 700 people that are actually supposed to register in that polling unit. It's how many percentage is that? That's quite small. So I think we need to look at that very, very well.
Now, are we looking at the attendant implications of things like this? Because it seems we are not looking at the bigger picture. We say we are evolving, yet we are still having some of these challenges that we have refused to critically address, talking about the political elites, their commitment to ensuring that they stick by the rules and also ensure that our democratic principles are entrenched and upheld towards having a robust exercise and having a democracy that we have always wished for.
Right. If you look at the number of voters that are registered in Kogi, it's about 1.8 million, or collected their PVCs is about 1.8 million or thereabout. So it will be interesting if we have more than 1 million that are going to cast their and what's the negative impact of this? We have spent a lot of amounts, to really actually go ahead to taxpayers money to print all this electoral material, election material and whatever. And by now we have a polling that only 100 people show up. That's not a good one. And like I said, it is party politics that result into this.
Now let's look at perhaps how we need to begin to change this kind of mindset, how we can begin to ensure that we repose, or the electorate repose confidence on the system. We have seen in some other parts, some persons are saying, we want to see the end of this process.
Right, which is correct.
It is good.
Right.
But does that also reflect confidence in the process? Because we saw the fallout of the general election.
If you talk about repose the confidence, in most election, after you finish the INEC process, sometimes we still end up focusing on the court issues.
That is what brought us here.
That's the issue. Because by the time election, there is the INEC declare winner, so people will still go out and contest that. That's another level.
But that's part of the process, too.
No, it's not bad, but it shows that the process had issues. If there is no much issue, sometimes we have seen President Jonathan after election, he said, no, I'm not,
Isn't that about the individual and not the process?
I think it should go beyond individual now to process and political party. Sometimes political party will see the situation of things and say, this is our stand, not your individual interest. Because if individual interest is coming up, because it's wealthy, because it's elite, because he sponsored the party or what have you, we will continue to see such problems. So for Kogi issue, it's more of stakeholder issue because it has to do with the electorate, it has to do with the political party, it has to do with even INEC itself. So these are the people that need to come together and give us final solution. And even the Nigerian police too. Like I said, sometimes when election is being over-secured, sometimes it also discourages people. But we wouldn't blame people. The last election, someone was burnt.
That's in 2019.
So people will be looking at that area that I don't want to, involve. I don't want to lose my life. Look at the consequence. So consequence itself is what people are actually looking at. How have you, that last person, have you been able to bring people
to book
that commit such offense to book? Who are they? Why do they do that? Where are they now? Are they in prison? Have they been tried? These are the things that we need. So if you now think as individual, if I embark on this and anything happens, there may not be justice for me. So sometimes people don't want to embark. And that's the result of what we see, that only 100 people are out compared to 700 that actually register for that polling unit. It's quite appalling.
It's appalling indeed. But then again, let's backtrack a bit with regards to this matter of addressing our democratic processes, electoral violence, and all. The matter of ideology. We saw that political parties before now used to have an ideology. They stuck with it.
Right.
And they ensured that they saw through to it. And that has even kept some political parties up until now. But the desperation that we are seeing with regards to our political processes, there are those who have said that perhaps we need to begin to make political offices
less attractive.
Less attractive.
Right.
Is that part of the solution to it, or what more can be done to address? Because it seems we have a peculiar situation in that part of the world.
You see, peculiar situation required peculiar solution. Well, my school of thought, for me, I think we need proportional representation in our politics. The issue of winner takes all is bringing more problem. And most people, because we are Nigerians, we always want to copy what someone has done. So what has not been practiced somewhere else, we will say we won't do it. But we must look at our case and look at a peculiar solution that could solve the problem. Now let's look at proportional representation. Someone takes 70% of maybe the winner takes 70%, another person takes 20%, another person takes 10%. If we have this proportional representation, I think it will less the issue that the more you strive, the more you bring development, the more you start to have position, the more you start to have representation. So political parties will start having good ideology that will resonate with people. Perhaps people will now be committed. So for me, I'm school of thought of proportional representation because it is winner takes all. And you remember that even after
when you
the
say
election,
winner takes all, I need you to perhaps speak, expatiate your points for people to understand.
Right.
Winner takes all, proportional representation. How do you mean in specific terms?
Now, if you look at a state now, in that state, a particular political party emerged the winner. Remember that all the local government, everything, they control the SEC and everything, they take everything. But whereby that this person who comes second also have in that, also have representation to that level in the governance itself, it will reduce that. What I'm saying is that if you look at our system now, once someone becomes president, he appoints everything from his political party, unless from his goodwill, or they call it a unity government. It is in that case that they will bring some people to be part of the, but if people that comes second.
So there's no federal character. That's what you're talking about.
We only say it's just a system on its own that it can be adopted. So if people that comes as second also have, maybe we're having 15 ministers and they are bringing 15 ministers. You see what I'm trying to say? It looks that they are the second, who emerge second in that context. So proportional representation can also reduce these challenges. Perhaps it will reflect that these people that are performing over time, they will do something else. But now winner takes all and winner takes. Just look at our system. It's winner takes all system. Because you can't say this present government should bring people. They are from their own.
But this current administration said it's a government of national competence, not government of national unity, and so went across the board to headhunt persons.
Okay, let's now look at it now. It's a good
from
one.
Across
in fact,
this
one are actually doing that, but it's from his will. It's from that political party and the president.
So it still falls back to the individual.
Exactly. So
and not necessarily the party.
No, it's a process itself. If we were to use proportional representation, it should be constitutional. It's not what one person can just decide. We'll decide that this is what we want to be using, and that's what we'll adopt. But this one is from his own, because of this present government actually want competency and want performance. That's why he's going out to bring people that are not from his political. And he's not the first one to actually do it. We could see it from our First Republic. During the First Republic, first president, the First Republic, actually carries out that, brings people from different political party, different background, and people that have performed over time, bring them to his government, and they actually perform well. And that's it. So I think it's boiled down now to who is leading and his decision.
Interesting. All right, we need to quickly go on a break. When we return, we'll continue our conversation. Stay with us.